Today we're going to be looking at King Menahem of Israel, and he's found in 2 Kings verses 14 to 22. And there's really four parts to his reign. We see that he's a murdering individual, and we see this in verses 14 to 16 of 2 Kings 15. Menahem comes up and he strikes down the previous king of Israel, Shallum. And it's thought that Menahem was the general in the army of Zechariah, and thus he's bringing vengeance for what Shallum has done to his king Zechariah. So we have Menahem taking vengeance on Shallum. But Menahem goes a bit further and deeper in his sinfulness and rebellion. It says in verses 16 of 2 Kings 15, at that time Menahem sacked Tiphsah and all who were in it in the territory from Tiphsah on, because they did not open it to him. Therefore he sacked it, and he ripped open all the women in it who were pregnant. And here we see that Menahem is not very open to people who are against him, against his rule, and he sacks this area. And not only that, but he rips open the women who are pregnant, their wombs. And so this man is a very violent man. He's definitely tyrannical. And it's a wicked act of tearing open the wombs of pregnant women that the Ammonites are condemned for in the book of Amos, chapter 1, verses 13. But then we get to his character, and as you can imagine, someone so violent is not very committed to the Lord. In verse 17, he reigns during the time of Azariah of Judah, and his reign lasts a decade long. Menahem continues in the trajectory of the wicked kings of Israel who preceded him. It says that he does evil in the eyes of the Lord. Menahem walks in rebellion against the Lord, disregard for the commands of God, not following the commandments of the Lord, not, of course, probably observing the Passover or any of these commandments that were given to the nation of Israel and the kings of Israel to follow. And he continues in the sin of Jeroboam, of the idolatry and rejection of the godly priesthood. We see this verse keeps coming up again and again. The kings of Israel continue to follow the sin of Jeroboam. And so the sin of Jeroboam, the first, was he took 2 golden calves, and he doesn't want them to go to Jerusalem. He wants them to worship in Bethel and Dan, where he sets up these 2 golden calves, where the nation of the northern kingdom of Israel can worship, so they're not drawn back to the southern kingdom of Judah. So Menahem continues in this idolatry and the worship of false gods. But Menahem encounters a problem. It's Pul, the king of Assyria, in verses 19 to 20. Menahem gets a visit from Pul, the king of Assyria, and he opens up the door of the power of Assyria in the life of the northern kingdom of Israel. They never lose their grip from the kingdom of Assyria. This is really the gateway. And as you know, later on, they're overtaken by the Assyrians. He pays Pul 1,000 talents of silver, which is a lot of money, to make sure that he, Menahem, can persist to be the king over Israel. And we know that later on, this wicked nation of Assyria, the Lord uses to punish the kingdom of the northern kingdom of Israel, because they act in rebellion against God. And so Menahem, to fund this campaign, he takes money from the upper class and he gives it to Pul. And then Pul, the king of Assyria, leaves Israel alone. And then we have finally the death of Menahem. And it doesn't say how he died, it just said that he dies. And after the death of Menahem, his son Pekahiah reigns in his place. And here we don't have a whole lot that's said about Menahem, but we do know that sin leads to judgment. the judgment of God in the life of Menahem. He continues in sin and rebellion against God. He's punished for his wickedness. And this is because the Lord is a holy God. The Lord is a God who hates sin. The Lord punishes sin and wickedness. But this story of Menahem, the king of Israel, only highlights our need for Jesus Christ even more. Here, he continued to walk in rebellion. He was punished. And we as humans continue to walk in rebellion. And we will be punished unless we trust in Christ. And that's the whole reason why Jesus Christ came. 2 Corinthians 5:21 speaks about the amazing work of Christ done for us. For our sake he made him to be sin who knew no sin, so that we might become the righteousness of God. Because of Christ and his work on the cross, he took upon sin. And Christ gives to us his righteousness, where we are declared right in God's sight, but it's as if we've never sinned. We're declared pure and blameless in the eyes of the Lord because of the work of Christ. And how we receive this grace and mercy is through faith in Christ alone. God gives grace, he gives life, but we receive those blessings of salvation and righteousness and forgiveness through faith in Christ. Christian, walk in obedience and faithfulness to Christ because of the amazing grace he has given you. Thanks for watching, and God bless.